I think we can close this chapter quite contently.
Yeah, there's not really anyone who sticks out. But I
Yeah.
mean, that aside, Ewan, um, thinking about winners, real winners, who are the real winners of this tour and who's the real losers from this tour, in your opinion?
Picnic Posnell are my standout team, to be honest. I think because they were consistently in that top 10. They got fourth place overall. And, it wasn't just Onley who got their results. It was also Frank Van den Broek in the breakaway, also Lund Andreasen and Bittner in the sprints. They were consistent throughout this race. And don't forget, they are also in the relegation battle. So they needed points. They desperately needed points, and they got those points. It looks like they're now going to survive off the back of a really healthy points haul here, especially when Intermarche, Cofidis all suffered pretty woeful Tours de France. So for me, Picnic Possanel are the real winners here. That's my top team of this Tour de France, based on the team that they came into this race with. And for me, the losers have to be, is it Cofidis or is it IPT?
Yeah, that's if you're doing that whole picture that you just did, obviously Israel Prematek already up. So Cofidis, I guess, is the real bad losers, but also because they tried to do the same as Astana and really invest and bulk up their squad. So you would have thought something would have happened.
Alex Aranburu, where was he? I know, and it's he was great in World Tour races early this year, and he was brought on to hoover up UCI points, but there's no evidence of that here at the Tour. Izagirre, I know he's like pushing he's gonna get his bus pass soon, but he is, yeah, I would have expected more from a man who's won several Tour de France stages in the past. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna say it. Cofidis is my loser because they could have had, a real stellar tour. Look at XDS Astana from the Giro. They came into that race with, not one of the best teams on paper, but they absolutely smashed it and got the points they needed.
Yeah, no, I think Cofidis is definitely bottom. I also feel like Movistar is a loser. You come in with, like you said, Pablo Castillo, a double Vuelta España not champion, stage winner in his first. I think that was his first one with a weaker team, obviously. Ian Rubio, top 10 finisher in the past, stage winner in the Giro. Even Romeo, Enric Mas. It's like this team should be doing so much more.
Yeah, Iban Garcia Cortina.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I can vouch for Movistar being towards the bottom end of this because I mean they're Movistar. They're a team who have consistently podiumed this race, been up there in the team classification, been in the top 10, and now they leave the Tour de France once again without a stage win and a top 10. This has been the story of their Tour de France since 2022. They haven't left this race at the top 10 or a stage win since then. And they haven't won a stage since Quintana won with the nosebleed of Valois before the pandemic.
Yeah, that quite puts it into perspective. I mean, a lot of the ones in the mid tier that we talked about doesn't really matter. Ineos is kind of no win, no lose. But Uno X, we talked about it. I think this team, really the development of that team last year, Abrahamson in the jersey and they weren't really close to a victory, but here they actually
Mm.
being up there with the big boys as well in the GC.
Yeah, they've built it up and built it up from, Johannesson being in the breakaways and trying to get a top 20 in GC in that first race to now really being in the frame here. And what's important is that the battle for wildcards is going to get tougher and tougher in the coming years because we've got teams that are going to come down. Cofidis probably going to be relegated. Arkea, who knows what's going to happen there. That now makes getting an invite a lot more difficult because you've got these French teams that should probably have a home advantage, but you've also got burgeoning teams that are coming through. Q36.5 with Tom Pidcock and this other flotilla of riders that they may be signing with Penarella bikes on their underneath them. The Bas Titamus squad, they're looking better and better as the years go by. Maybe with Dylan Groenewegen next year. They're also another French registered team. it's going to get harder for these squads to get invites. And I think Uno X have proved their worth here, and they should get an invite next year. And if they don't, it is criminal because they won a stage and finished top 10 in 2025.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Is there anyone else? Sudal, Quickstep, Alpecin? I think they're fine. They're not really winning or losing. Well, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, Sudal didn't get the GC result they hoped for, but
Yeah.
it was also that all or nothing strategy with Remco. But they still won 4 stages out of it. But I do think that people will forget about Sudal when they look back in this race. They'll forget that they were here and actually won 4 stages. Ty Panther's going to be the one that they remember. And he only got that 1 stage, whereas like Molio did win a couple of sprints and Remco smashed that TT. So it's hard to judge for these guys because, you know, the riders abandoned that they were hoping to pick up big results. Jasper Phillips for Alpecin, but once again, Alpecin, 3 stage wins with 3 different riders, all in very different scenarios.
Would you put Little Trek as a winner? Okay, many of us expected John Tamar to win the jersey, but there was still a Tim Merlier, there was still a Jasper Philipsen and Binyam Gumaya.
Little Trek have had better Grand Tours. I think it's also hard to judge them because they've had a brilliant season so far. Their Giro was exceptional. They're a team that have really over-delivered, and perhaps we're getting sort of fatigue of that. Not fatigue, but we're getting used to them being right up there at the top. And the fact that this is just kind of like, you know, they got what they wanted, but nothing more, nothing less, is just, you know, quite middle of the road. And they had other riders that could have fought for stages. It wasn't just Jonathan Milan. We could have had Tom Scoynes up there in the breakaway. We could have had Jasper Sturva fighting for breakaways as well. And Quinn Simmons ending up with that stage win. Didn't happen in the end, but, and also Skellerman was there as well. He crashed out and could have won a couple mountain stages. But yeah, little I think, you know, they can be satisfied with this. They got the green jersey. They keep up the momentum there. And they're a team that will probably carry on winning green jerseys in the years to come. This is Milan's first ever Tour de France. He's looking like one of the best sprinters in the world right now, one of the most versatile and effective sprinters with one of the best trains out there. So it probably, you know, will be surpassed next year with a Philly Flitz, Gelmoser, or Ciccone to bolster up their mountain support, to have a double pronged approach in the mountains and in the sprints.
Intermarche, I think, definitely are going to be a loser team, unfortunately, here.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Because, I mean, Intermarche, I think it's almost as if they've been served a sucker punch since Girmai's lofty heights, and they're not going to replicate that. They were a team in, you know, 2021, 2022 that over-delivered. And perhaps we got used to them over-delivering and getting top tens and being right up there in stages and being in breakaways. And this year, just nowhere to be seen. But they didn't have a climber once Barret crashed out. They didn't really have anyone to back up in those mountain breakaways. It was all or nothing for Girmay, who ultimately just didn't get the results he may have hoped after crashing out. Well, after facing several crashes and bumps along the way. Maybe that's just a byproduct of the fact that he won the green jersey last year, and their strategy was to replicate that this year. In the years to come, they can pour their eggs in the Bidim Girmay basket, but is Bidim Girmay going to be in lot of Intermarche next year? We also don't know.
Yeah, I think his leader was particularly weak, if I'm honest. There was plenty of times where he was getting lost and there was nobody around him. And I was like, what?
Yeah. What? No Mike Turner, no Herder Batayson. These guys, these like important engines. I know Turner doesn't ride for them anymore, but these are guys that were really influential last year who just weren't there in 2025. They might need to sign up some more sprinters to help out and more lead out men to help out.
Yeah, but we don't know. He's probably going to be in Astana.
Well, that's the thing. Or he's going to be battling it out with Arnaud Dully next year.